Hello, everyone. I'm Triple Z Hacker, and welcome to Round 1, Match 4 of the Shogunate Total War Tournament 2020. I'm proud and thankful to be working alongside the Shogunate YouTube channel and providing commentary for several of the tournament matches, as well as participating in the tournament myself. To find more of the tournament matches, be sure to check out Smotheredrun, who will also be uploading commentary videos to his YouTube channel. There is a link to it in the description below. And if you want to see any of the live action from the tournament, I plan on streaming several of the matches on my Twitch channel, which is also linked down below in the description. Also, don't forget to subscribe as I have more tournament matches and tons of other videos being uploaded. Now, without further ado, let us begin with the first battle. Alright, so for the first battle, we have the map Ishiyama Ruins, chosen by JDog737. So it's going to be interesting to see how each of the players build their armies for this map specifically. Okay, now that we're in the battle, let's pause it briefly so that we can just get oriented. And typically what I like to do when always giving battle replay analysis is I like to go over the map and the key buildings of the battle beforehand, and then jumping into the army compositions and then going into the battle. So I will be doing this for all of the tournament replays I receive and upload onto this channel. Now, for the key buildings, we have 4 of them on this map. We have the archery dojo, we have the workshop, farmhouse, and the sword dojo. In terms of key buildings, the workshop and the sword dojo are 2 of the best, in my opinion. So farmhouse and archery dojo aren't really too impactful, I would say, in this match, but still both players are in a position to secure 2 dojos. I think I will give Reziko here the edge in terms of the sword dojo and farmhouse over the workshop and the archery dojo. However, the archery dojo can work well for those who bring a lot of bow units or matchlocks, so it really depends on the army you bring at times too. Speaking of the armies you bring, let's go over the army composition here for J-Dog, who is the one who submitted the replay to us. So we'll be watching both battles from his perspective. Now, first thing we're going to go over, of course, is we have 6 cavalry units, or cav units, as we call them. Those names kind of work interchangeably. But we have 2 Great Guard, we have 4 Yari Cav. Over here we have 2 Matchlock Ashigaru. Then we have 5 Nodachi Samurai and 3 Naginata Warrior Monks to go along with the General's Bodyguard. So this is a rush army, but in a sense it's a hybrid rush army in the sense that there are 2 Matchlock Ashigaru here that add a unique element to this army, so I'll be curious to see how J-Dog plans on incorporating those into this rush build. As for Reziko, since all of the battles we received are from J-Dog's perspective, we won't see Reziko's forces until later into the match. We know he has a general, of course. So anyways, let's start the battle. Right off the bat, J-Dog begins moving forward. Again, with the rush army, you want to move as quick as possible. Of course, I would entirely ignore the archery dojo if I were him, as, I mean, it could be beneficial to his 2 matchlock units, but really, at the end of the day, you just want to get to the workshop really quickly, and with a rush army specifically, you want to move and get into the fighting as soon as possible. Let's speed things up a little bit here, just because, both players are moving somewhat. There we go. We can see some Yari Cav here pop up around these trees, and then there we go. Here comes the rest of the army into view. So let's pause it right here and go over what Reziko has that we can see for the moment. So what it looks like is quite a lot of spears. We got 1, 2, 3 units of Yari Ashigaru here, along with some Yari Samurai. We have some Nodachis, 2 in the center. We have 2 more Yari Ashigaru, some Yari Samurai, Naginata Warrior Monks. In the back, we have a Katana Samurai to go along with the General's Bodyguard. So, very, very spear core heavy. And of course, now we can see 2 bow samurai, some fire rockets, and Matchlock Ashigaru. So pretty much a missile core, but with the fire rockets as the main units there to deal out the missile damage. So I think this army build works well to protect the fire rockets with all these spears and infantry. So you'll be curious to see how Reziko plans on using the fire rockets if they make an impact on this match. Of course, there is one important thing that I cannot gloss over, and I have to mention, and that is the fact that we have these deployable defenses here. This is a clear rule violation, and we've notified Reziko of the violation, and it won't happen again. But this would be an automatic loss. This match is considered an automatic loss because of this rule violation here. So all of you participating in the tournament, please be sure to review the rules carefully. And I'm just pointing this out for those watching as well, because it's important to note, what you can and can't do for these battles. But again, that is a violation. I'm sure it won't happen again. Anyways, though, we are going to give the rest of this battle a fair analysis, so let us continue. Now, in Reziko's position, it's quite interesting because he hasn't moved any of his units yet. And this is such a big problem. You have to move your units. You have to get into a better position. You can't just stay still here in the the deployment zone where you had set up. You want to move over here and capture the sword dojo. The increased melee attack and charge wall units will be really helpful. And then you want to move up here to get the farmhouse for the speed as well. Look at this defensive position here on this hill with the tree line there as well. It would work really well for protecting those fire rockets who could be here, shooting over these trees, or even over here popping out of the trees, from hiding to shoot into some of the cav units that J-Dog brought. Because at the end of the day, fire rockets are anti-cav. They're an anti-cav missile, so you want to aim for cav with fire rockets. Now, in terms of what J-Dog is doing, he's playing this wisely and being really patient about this. I mean, advancing cautiously all this way is a really smart move, because as a rush army, you want to rush, of course, but you don't want your units to get fatigued from running. If your units are fatigued from running, once they get into the melee, they're going to be fatigued, and it's not really going to be helpful. You want them well rested. So you can see they're fresh. You want them to be fresh. And that's why J-Dog here is walking them. Now, of course, there's a ton of fog on this map, so we got to zoom in to really get a better view of some of the units here. But now he's moving some cav over this way. I like splitting up the cav. With 6 cav in total, you may as well split them up into 3-3, because you can see the 2 cav over here by Reziko. So I think J-Dog is going to bring this cav over here to counter that and possibly protect these Matchlock Ashigaru. And right now, Reziko could easily move these fire rockets up, get a volley on these matchlocks, or at least threaten them to pull back, force J-Dog to advance back, or even bring up these bow samurai here to get a couple of volleys on them. Or maybe even get a Yari Ashigaru unit to come in loose formation, take a volley of matchlocks, and then send some cav in after. I mean, it just, again, you gotta move. You gotta move these troops. The biggest problem I see here is that playing defensively does not mean playing passively. Playing defensively means that you're still active, you're still engaging, you're still moving and making decisions. If you play passively like this, you're allowing your opponent to make and dictate all of the decisions for the battle, and allow them to control the pace of the battle and when they're going to engage and those sorts of things. As you see right here, J-Dog's bringing 3 cav this way, and Reziko's got a counter charge, but not a really good counter charge. They're really clumped up here, so not good. And then, of course, the Great Guard coming in next. That's well done by J-Dog there. So 2 things worth noting here about this engagement in particular. This is, in a sense, there's 2 concepts, and they're both military concepts used throughout history and understood today. But the first concept is that of local superiority. Now, local superiority means that you have a larger number of troops in a certain locality, that being an area. And in a sense, this area here, this locale here, J-Dog has 3 units of cav compared to Reziko's 2. And so he has local superiority. Now, this doesn't always work in terms of Total War because, some units are very elite and can hold off against multiple, units. But in this sense, still, having just more troops in a certain area is going to benefit you. And so J-Dog has local superiority here. The next thing that I want to mention is defeat in detail, something Napoleon used quite often. But in this sense, this right here, having the 2 calves split away from the main army, in this fragment, is what we would call a detail. And so J-Dog, in a sense, is defeating a detail of the full army. And defeating an army in fragments rather than engaging the full army on its, head on is what we call defeat in detail. Defeating little tiny fragments at a time and separating your opponent's forces. So those 2 things are going to be really, important when it comes to, analyzing the rest of the tournament and seeing how these matches go. And of course, these Yari Ashigaru here could have already been here, capturing this sword dojo and helping out these 2 poor units of Yari Cav that got, attacked and outnumbered. So again, Reziko just too late to react, and you gotta move these units. You gotta move them. I don't understand, the idea behind just sitting here and waiting. It's not a good strategy. Not a good strategy at all. Which will speed up here a little bit since it's quite the waiting game on both their parts, kind of. But J-Dog just being the main one, to engage. And of course, right here, the cavalry or the cav micromanagement of this unit right here is excellent. Excellent. Getting around the building and getting a charge right into the back of these Yari Ashigaru from behind. I mean, all they had to do was turn around. That cav might have been dead. But really excellent maneuvering by J-Dog there. They get caught a little bit by the Yari Samurai, but he's able to micro them out in time. And yeah, micromanagement is going to be a really key factor when it comes to the rest of this tournament as well. And of course, bringing the Nodachis over here just to support this cav is really good. I mean, this in a sense is what we would call combined arms. Now, combined arms is used typically a lot when it comes to modern warfare, but it can be applied into Shogun 2 and the Sengoku era of Japan, in the sense that you have swords, you have cav and infantry and matchlocks all working together. And of course, I would be remiss if we didn't see this charge right here. I mean, my God, just another great use of cav right there by J-Dog, charging into the back all these Yari Ashigaru, running downhill even into the woods. So routed them completely, and of course came over here to get the hammer and anvil. Now, a better way to use the cav there would have been to send 1 or 2 cav this way and then the other one that way to get the charge on both at the same time. So that's something J-Dog could have done a little bit better. It requires intensive micromanagement of the units there, but I think that would have been better off. Would have routed the Yari Samurai even that much more quicker and gotten to the Yari Ashigaru in time. Now, of course, again, Reziko here is just reacting too late to all of J-Dog's engagements, and now J-Dog is capturing the sword dojo. He already has control of the farmhouse, has control of the workshop, and the archery dojo. Once he captures all 4 key buildings, a 10-minute timer is going to start counting down, and once that timer reaches 0, J-Dog gets an automatic victory. So, again, just Reziko's got to go for the key buildings. And of course, here we got another charge of cav into just Reziko's Yari cav here, just sitting there. Didn't really even get a counter charge off. So again, without the charge bonus, they're going to die. And 3-on-1, no chance for Reziko's cav there. We'll keep moving this up. Yeah, he's got these spears over here, but this is just pulling away units from the main engagements. That's going to happen eventually whenever J-Dog sends all these swords and monks over this way. And good on J-Dog to bring his cav over here too, because now Reziko's put in a really, really terrible position. Because Reziko now has to either get in a full box and pretty much just wait on all sides. And, in terms of if you bring a rush army like J-Dog did facing a missile army like this, you want to encircle. Because now Reziko has to react to cav coming from multiple directions, and I don't think his spears will be able to catch them in time. And while he's busy micromanaging his spears, chasing cavalry, all his missile units right here are going to be so vulnerable. And these fire rockets here haven't even shot a single volley, and they're worth 1,800 koku. It's so much money to not be used really that much at all. I mean, he could easily send a spear unit over here to be able to see all this cav right there, but still, even shooting into the woods isn't really the best way to use fire rockets. So again, just poorly managed by Reziko. And of course, the matchlocks here in these woods really nice. They're protected from these missiles here well enough at least, and they're able to shoot into these katana samurai, into the Ariashigari. You can see these katana samurai are already, their morale bar is already like going down. It's in yellow. It'll be red in no moment. As you can see, these Nodachis, a really great charge here, protecting these matchlocks and using different unit types in unison. Little pun there, but using different unit types and coordinating with them and cooperating, cooperation, so to speak, of having swords fighting alongside matchlocks and stuff. That's the essence of combined arms right there. So really great plays on this left side here by J-Dog. And of course, the cav here, I don't really agree with this. I don't really agree with this for several reasons. Because this cav charge right here, although it does draw the attention of all these spears, I think he could have just put his cav right in front of these spears. He didn't have to actually commit to a full charge, and Reziko would have reacted. So he just kind of lost unnecessarily some cavalry there. And of course, the fire rockets end up deciding to shoot for the only time, because right on cue, here comes the cav from behind, which is, again, this was all just a decoy and a ploy by J-Dog. Really well done, and there go the fire rockets. Just such a not a really good way of using them. Really overrated unit already, in my opinion, but still, Reziko could have used them a lot better. They probably ended with less than 10, maybe 15 kills at most. And of course, now that all these spear units are too busy over here dealing with the cav, the melee infantry over here, J-Dog has just more numbers, and it started to become a rout. So you can see the cav gets into these bows, these spears. These spears can't move fast enough, and then charge right into behind these Yari Ashigaru. The Ashigaru's morale is so low that they're going to rout. And of course, once the general is dead, it's over, and J-Dog has clinched victory. So just, really great execution on the part of J-Dog there, especially when it comes to the cav. And really using the rush army as it should be, a rush army, but still being patient enough to avoid those fire rockets and to, be meticulous about capturing each key building along the way. In terms of Reziko, I would say there are a couple of changes I'll have to make for the next battle between these two, and that is basically want to move quickly, you want to establish a defensive position. If you bring that type of missile army, you really want to get the key buildings, and you just don't want to put yourselves in situations where you lose units unnecessarily because you react too slow or too late. And you want to support your units together. You want the cav and spears working together and things of that nature. But overall, it looks like J-Dog has secured the first battle, so now it's on to the second battle. So for the second battle, Reziko has the pick of the map, and he chose Chikugo River, which is quite an interesting map, as you can see based off the picture in the terrain. Okay, so we're going to pause and again just give a brief map overview and then look at the army composition, which I think we're going to be able to see the army compositions a lot more easily than we did in the previous match, or the previous battle, excuse me. Anyways, we have 3 key buildings. So we have the farmhouse over here, we got the shrine in the center, and of course the sword dojo on the left. Again, we are viewing from J-Dog's perspective, as he's the one who submitted the battle replays. Now, right off the bat, the shrine and the sword dojo are basically the better key buildings. These are 2 of the best key buildings, in my opinion. The farmhouse is not so good, so I would go immediately for the shrine and the sword dojo. Now, another thing to take into account with the map is, of course, you can see there's a ton of water. And with the geography and the terrain, this is going to be a challenge for both players because moving through water definitely slows any units, and in particular cavalry especially. So using a cav, I should say, on this map is difficult. But yeah, there's a ton of water, so it'll be interesting to see how the players go about facing that challenge. Now, based off where they deployed, I would give the advantage to J-Dog. Now, he did deploy already in the water, but the reason I would give the advantage to him is because he's in a prime position to go secure the Shrine, the Sword Dojo right off the bat. Whereas Reziko here is way over here to the side, just going for the farmhouse, it seems, and sort of just at a disadvantage because he has to get over here to get these two key buildings really quickly. Anyways, let's see who wins this battle. So to go over the army composition real briefly as we just watch them make their opening moves, J-Dog here has 2 bow warrior monks, some bow samurai, and of course 3 katana samurai, 3 nodachi, and 3 naginata warrior monks. So a lot of melee infantry there. We got 4 units of Yari Cav over here and General's Bodyguard. Reziko brought something a little bit different this time. He's got 3 units of Yari Cav here and a Great Guard. He has some other Yari Cav just hanging in the woods over there. And then over here, he's got 3 Yari Samurai, 2 Naginata Samurai, Naginata Warrior Monks, Matchlock Ashigara Bow Samurai, and then 4 Nodachi Samurai along with a General. Now, definitely not the missile army he brought last battle, but still I think Reziko would have been better off bringing that same army to this map rather than the previous map. Because now he's only got Matchlock Ashikaru and Bow Samurai, whereas J-Dog over here has 2 Bow Warrior Monks and some Bow Samurai. So I think Reziko already is at a disadvantage on the terms of skirmishing, and you want to skirmish on a map like this, especially with all this water here. And Reziko here doing something a bit different this time, bringing the Cav out early, which I kind of liked. It's really aggressive, a bold move for sure. Maybe he could have caught one of the bow units or something, but still J-Dog reacts with his Cav accordingly. So Reziko here, just send them already back. Don't run them over here. Just send them back across the river. J-Dog won't be able to catch you. Just send them back across the river and start moving all these troops here this way. Like they should be moving now. All these troops right here, just standing here, chilling, looking up at the sky, doing whatever. They need to immediately head over this way as soon as possible. They need to contest these 2 buildings. You can't allow J-Dog to set up his forces here. Anyways, we're going to skip forward here. Yeah, eventually he brings the Cav back across the river, which he should have done initially, and then, of course, joins the other Yari Cav over there with them, which, is a good move. Maybe he should have got them sooner. Maybe even gotten an early Cav engagement, that J-Dog wasn't really expecting. Sometimes you can catch your opponents off guard by doing stuff like that. But here, J-Dog sets up his bows in a prime position to overlook this little river here, this little river crossing, so to speak. And now, pretty much any attempt by Reziko to cross this river right here is going to suck. It's going to be a challenge. You do not want to do this right here. You don't want to cross this river with all these archers here waiting on the other side, going to just, shoot tons of volleys into units that try to cross. So J-Dog here with a good defensive position. Reziko now just reacted too late. Now has to make a decision. Send one of these spear units over here to the farmhouse would be my recommendation, but instead decides to go over here and get into these woods, which I think is a fine move, to think about which decision you want to make next now that your opponents established themselves on this area here. Of course, the emphasis on Reziko is to attack, as he is the designated attacker for this map. So he's already put himself at quite a disadvantage right off the start. Let's see, all this calves are just moving this way, just feigning an attack, just whatnot. But right here, bringing these matchlocks out of hiding, not a really good decision. These matchlock Ashigaru have 1 armor, and these bow warrior monks, along with the bow samurai, they're going to tear them to shreds. Also, if you did do this, keep them in loose formation at least to minimize the casualties as much as you can. But we're going to see here in a second, J-Dog takes advantage of this move. Let's speed up just a little bit, wait till these guys get into position. Let's see if J-Dog decides, are they in range yet? Nope, they're not in range, but you can see the bow warrior monks here have 175 range. The matchlocks only have 100, and there we go. First 2 volleys in. Yep, already down to 59 out of 80 men. Really, really not a good decision to leave them there to die. The bow samurai, that would have been the unit I would have brought out, but even then, they don't outrange the bow warrior monks. And those matchlock Ashigaru are already out. They're gone. And of course, they get hit with whistling arrows, which, makes them rout even quicker, I believe. Yeah, just a couple more volleys, but yep, there they go. Didn't even get a single kill. So that's 400 Koku down the drain right there. We'll speed things up. This bow samurai unit just doesn't stand a chance against 2 bow warrior monks, even with the increased armor. Just don't stand a chance. And now Reziko's in a really tough position of having to attack. He has to attack. And really, he should send just a unit over here to get the farmhouse for increased stamina and movement speed. I mean, on this map especially, with you can see all the water and everything in the terrain, getting the increased movement speed doesn't hurt. It's better than nothing, right? So really, just Reziko could have done that a lot quicker. And all these Nodachis over here, I see what he's trying to do in terms of forcing J-Dog to commit to multiple sides, but he could have done that a little bit better. And now he's sending all these spears and Naginatas across the water, which I don't think is the right decision, because these Naginata warrior monks, I mean, right in the front, these arrows are going to tear through them. They have no armor. They only have 2 armor, and yep, they're already down to 63. They're going to lose a lot of troops. Yep, already less than half of the unit remaining, and of course the Yari Samurai are even going to take some casualties, even though they have 5 armor. Naginata Samurai should have been the ones who came first to draw the fire of the bows, but even then, these Naginata warrior monks completely gone. And of course, now we have the Nodachis over here. Just again, you should at least send the swords with the spears at least. Would have been helpful just to have all your forces in one area, but splitting them up like this, especially when attacking, I don't think was the right decision. And this cav right here could have charged like one maybe into these katanas over here, even these swords, but sending all 4 of them wasn't really necessary. And there's spears in the area, but you could have sent them in at least. You could have sent them in now, maybe, and snuck 1 or 2 in behind to, at least kill most of these Nodachis. But yep, the Nodachis charging downhill with Bonsai as well, plus the Shrine and the Sword Dojo are going to destroy this front line. Let's watch some of the action here. Yep, just completely routed that entire line of infantry, and the war cry certainly helped as well. Good timing by J-Dog on the war cry. Reziko here, sort of an last-ditch effort to catch J-Dog kind of not paying attention and maybe charge into all this cav here. But again, just the cav is all clumped up into one big blob, and it's just not going to be as effective because only some are going to get the charge bonus and the rest get encircled. J-Dog was a bit slow, though, to react. He could have countercharged here sooner, and these Naginata warrior monks as well could have just ran over a bit quickly to react to that cav charge. Over here now we have the sort of remaining portion of Reziko's army here of all these Nodachis, and yep, charging uphill. The Bonsai will certainly help at some degree, but they're not going to win against these katanas, and especially while taking arrow fire from some bow samurai and bow warrior monks, they're not going to win that. especially because they only have 2 armor, so these arrows are going to tear them to shreds. And with all the spears defeat on that side, J-Dog has the additional forces he can send in to basically get local superiority here and win this engagement. And smart on J-Dog just said the Naginata Warrior Monks over here just to mop up this area of the battlefield here by getting rid of the Bow Samurai, and then eventually heading for Reziko's general. So once again, J-Dog just with a solid and convincing victory here for this battle. And with this victory right here, J-Dog wins the first match that he has to play for the tournament. And now he can advance on into the second round on the winner's side, whereas Reziko drops down to the loser side of the bracket. So congratulations, J-Dog, on advancing. And well played by both of you regardless. Thank you for submitting these replays into us. And I was happy to provide a commentary on this for all of you watching. And I certainly hope you enjoyed my commentary. And if you did, be sure to like and subscribe. I have plenty of Shogun 2 content on this channel. Also, huge shout out to Smotheredrun as well. Be sure to check out his channel in the description for some of the other tournament analysis videos that will be uploaded. As well, always don't check out the Shogunate YouTube channel, and please join the Discord. There's tons of us who love playing Shogun 2 and things of that nature. Anyways, I have some parting thoughts for the 2 participants in this match specifically, and that is I think J-Dog can just improve in terms of being consistent with this level of execution and really just taking time to think about what worked and what didn't work in these battles in terms of playing patient, in terms of reacting a bit sooner on some of the counter charges and stuff. But overall, solid play by him. For Reziko, I think there's a lot of things he needs to figure out in terms of the army builds he wants to bring, and in terms of just moving and getting to those key buildings a lot sooner. I think it will give him a better chance and a better opportunity to win these battles. Regardless, I want to thank you all again so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more of the Shogunate Total War Tournament.